So I'm delighted to be here with the great practitioner, Roisin Golding, to go in a little bit more depth into what her 6-weekend course is going to entail. We'll go through weekend by weekend. The course is called Time and Space in Traditional Acupuncture, Crystal Clear Acupuncture Methods Incorporating the Unique Classic Approach of Huang Taoism. In this course, it will be a journey into a Daoist world where heaven, earth, and humankind are all of one original chi, and where a vibration in any part affects the whole. In the course, you'll understand the nature of time in all its changing patterns and manifestations, and restore it to its all but forgotten position at the heart of Chinese medicine. And learn the elements often missing from acupuncture courses that help everything tie together, and also answer all those countless questions, and most importantly, enhance your clinical outcomes. And so, just to let you know, Roisin will be giving a free talk, which will be useful in and of itself, but it'll also give you a flavor of the course. This will be on February the 8th in Hampstead in London. All the details are below. You can sign up. It will also be live streamed online. So you can sign up to watch it remotely and record it afterwards as a video. So if you're watching this after February the 8th, you can still get a copy of the free video if you follow the link down below. There's also a link to the website, which for the full course, which describes exactly what's on the course. We're going to go into that now. So let me just share the screen here of the website. And Roisin, I'll hand over to you to let us know, weekend by weekend, what's going to be on the course, starting with this weekend 1, acupuncture, time, and the 5 elements.
Okay, thank you, Alex, for that introduction. Okay, so the first weekend, I'll just go through the course as it is. So it's in 6 2-day weekends. And the first weekend, we're going to talk about both time and the 5 elements. And of course, as acupuncturists, we've all learned about time before. We know the Chinese clock. We understand, that day is yang and nighttime is yin, etc. So what am I going to be doing that's different? We'll just be learning in more detail about the rise and fall of yin and yang, the interdependence of yin and yang and the 5 elements, and also use that in clinical practice. I mean, where the levels of qi are, what the needle techniques are, even to take account of the moon. The Neijing is so specific about how to use the moon and needling techniques, depending on whether it's a waxing and waning moon, which has a big impact on things like fertility, when women's menstrual cycles are not regular, etc. And one can really see the difference when one uses that. And it's just really nice to read ourselves in the moment. It's a very nice way of treating needling.
Fantastic. That it just shows that this is a practical course. This is practical, clinical, and really helps with things that we all experience in our practices, like fertility and gynecology, things like that. So weekend 2 is heaven, earth, human. What are we going to be learning then?
Yeah, so heaven, earth, then mankind. Again, we learn heaven, earth, man largely as some philosophical concept. We don't often learn how to use that in clinical practice. What I will be teaching with the heaven, earth, man, it's going to be on two full days just on heaven, earth, man. It's a very practical course, but we'll also understand both the similarities and the differences between heaven, earth, man and yin and yang, because they're often used interchangeably. They are a bit different. We'll also understand this kind of source of life, because of course humanity was born out of the interaction of heaven, earth, man. So again, it's got something to say about fertility. We'll also understand the association. So on a theoretical way, understand the associations of the elements with the different organs, which is really connected with heaven, earth, man. That's how to understand them. But we will then understand where precisely heaven, earth, man is in the body, and there are certain pulses to take account of with heaven, earth, man. the three pulses of the three regions of heaven, earth, man, which is really interesting. And there are very specific treatments that go with imbalances between a heaven, earth, man level. And even just how to incorporate in a normal day-to-day treatment, how to incorporate the heaven, earth, man, how to balance that up in point choice, and even, you know, whereabouts we use those points, what side of the body, etc. So that's the heaven, earth, man.
And I think it's you know, just step by step building a foundation, because really a huge amount of understanding the cycles and how they interact is understanding heaven and earth and our place in between, isn't it? So the other weekends will build on that. Moving on to weekend 3, we have 6 divisions.
Okay, 6 divisions are so important to understand. I think, you know, we learn 6 divisions at college. We learn them oftentimes in relation to the progression of fevers, for instance, you know, from Tai Yang through to Shui Yin. And we understand that they represent spatial divisions on the body, and that also, I think some people are taught and some aren't, that they also are to do with divisions of blood and qi in the body in each of those divisions. Maybe it's not so well known that it's also divisions of time. So everything within acupuncture, actually, when you read through the Neijing, there are calendrical considerations. And so the 6 divisions is really very, very well understood in terms of time. In fact, they're linked up with the farmer's calendar, which, of course, Alex, you know a lot about and have taught a lot about. Very interesting course. And so you will learn there are 5 elements that go along with each of the 6 divisions. There are host energies, which align with the farmer's calendar. We learn how to treat according to that. And then in the second part of that weekend, we learn the more advanced, really stems and branches aspects of 6 divisions. Well, really the Huang Lao acupuncture aspects, where you have an interaction again between heaven divisions and earth divisions, which also even have a link in with fertility, as most things do. You're talking about creation of life and heaven and earth coming together, but also very, very specific patterns between 6 divisions throughout the year, that none of this is static.
Yes, and so what's really great about this course is that Roisin is not only going to give you the theory of all of these different cycles, but she spent a lifetime thinking about this and using it in the clinic and making it work. And so we'll actually get to understand how to use this in a practical way and get results. So on to weekend 4 and 5. This is the 10 great movements, 10 heavenly stems, but also the 12 earthy branches, and putting it all together. So what are we going to learn then?
So let me just explain what the 10 great movements are. They're actually the movements of the 5 elements. So when we talk about 5 elements, because I don't think I mentioned enough about what we were talking about in the first weekend, which was also to look at some of the heavenly aspects of the 5 elements and how they relate actually to some heavenly elements, like movement of asterism, such as the Big Dipper, for instance, which is very connected up with 5 elements, and also the Yellow River map. So it's just to understand some of those basic concepts of the 5 elements and how they're reflected in assumptions about qualities of character, etc. That those come from heavenly aspects. And so these 10 great movements are actually movements of the 5 elements through the course of a year, and also in the 60-year cycle, as well as your hourly cycles. So these cycles, these 10 stems and 12 branches combine to make 60, a 60-year cycle, because the yin and the yang element and stem of the great movement and stem organ and the branches go together, and you've got yang ones go together. Anyway, it sounds complicated, but actually to understand the heavenly aspect of the 5 elements, really enhances our depth of understanding. There are then interactions between the 6 divisions, very importantly, in these movements of the 5 elements, as well as specific and combinations of organs that interact specifically with these 5 element movements. And these can look very confusing and can look contradictory if you're from a just understand 5 elements on a normal humanity level of 5 elements. So there's a heaven, earth, man understanding of the 5 elements and how they interact. But essentially through the great movements and the 10 stem organs, we really get to understand the curse cycle at a kind of heavenly level, and how to work with that, and how especially the stems and branches, and especially the stems, I think, work in a very deep psychological level on people, like their kind of spiritual level, as well as having a lot of practical physical tendencies as well. As I say, they also have specific interactions with the guest heaven and guest earth divisions. It all sounds complicated, but as I think I've already said, when one gets to understand this, so we build up all these concepts bit by bit that you can use them bit by bit in each weekend, very practical, very usable. And I really want to emphasize as well, when we talk about heaven and earth, we're not actually talking about some kind of metaphysical place. We're actually talking about how the Han Chinese experienced life on earth in a very dark night, movement of the heavens very easily seen, the rising of the sun. It all becomes very, very practical, experiential, day-to-day understanding of how energies work, you know.
And you know, the Chinese take it very seriously. So this is, you know, we tend to think of these things as, oh, just add on things or tack on things or something like that. But actually it's very, very core. And it's the missing context, isn't it, to understanding a lot of the concepts that we already have. It's not, it's often seen as an afterthought on many courses, but actually this starts to make everything make sense. And I think that's one thing that I've really got from you, Roisin, is that it takes the information that we have, it answers a lot of the questions that we've always had. And then everything starts singing together like a harmonious whole once you start to see how everything fits together, including the Chinese medicine knowledge and the acupuncture we already have, no matter what system we practice. So, you know, that's what I'm really looking forward to the course. Can you just say a couple of words about, you know, how this is then, you know, the time in the course that is spent putting it all together, going through case studies, and really understanding, you know, how to apply this in the clinic.
You know, I was thinking about this. So we look at all the special combinations of all of this stuff. And also we have a whole day where we just look at case histories. And I was thinking, really, in clinic, you know, and when you're studying in clinic time, you have clinic days. I was thinking what would be really better is to actually do a clinic morning, and then like when you were studying at college, and then a whole afternoon where you're just standing back and really looking at all the elements that come in there. And it's a really fascinating way of looking at all the combinations, what all is interacting in that patient. So those looking at the case studies are just great, really good.
Great. Yeah, and that will be the point where you actually see it implemented in practice, and worked examples that you can work through as well to apply it to your own situations. So that's great. So just want to underline, you know, down below you'll see the links to the full course. There's also a link to a more detailed course description on the website. There are early bird prices if you book in advance, but also just come along to the free talk on February the 8th. As I say, if you're watching this after February the 8th, there'll also be a link down below where you can sign up and get an access to the video of that talk. But we really hope to see you either free talk or the full course. So we'll see you there.